listen to the show and peep what these dudes bring. If you didn't know, it's an orange and blue thing. Hope to win the championship and a few rings.
We're talking baseball.
It's an orange and blue thing. Walk off if the game's tied like shoestrings. It's a Mets podcast, orange and blue thing. Beat the other team with defense and a few swings. LFGM, it's an orange and blue thing.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Orange and Blue Thing. This is the Season 4, Episode 1 premiere out here on Long Island.
We made it.
We did make it. Another offseason in the books. Well, almost. The Mets are opening up next month, March 26th, versus the Nationals at Citi Field, obviously. But this Saturday, opening day, is in the air for spring training. I know it's not – the weather report isn't really favorable for opening day, but I did text – my connect over there at the Port Saint Lucie Mets or St. Lucie Mets, now at Clover Park, and they said, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. If it rains in Florida, it's like 10 minutes, so we should be good to go.
Well, they've got some new bars set up there at the ballpark, right? So, I mean,
when I was down there for
the best
fantasy
of it
camp,
one way or another.
Yeah, I was there for fantasy camp first week of January, and I said to myself as I'm walking through the facility, there is no possible way this place will be done for opening day. And I guess reports are they're supposed to have almost everything ready in time. I guarantee there's going to be some paint drying on Saturday when they cut that ribbon. But I'm so excited to get down there. Spring training is always something that I really look forward to. And even though the weather isn't really, something that people are going to be looking forward to as far as like, let me go jump in the pool at the hotel, I think everyone's still excited to get down there.
No, of course. You get the green grass, baseball. I mean, it starts up again. And it hasn't been like a brutal winter or something where it's like, oh, I got to get out of New York. I mean, we've had like 2 20-degree days, and maybe it snowed once in the fall. I can't even remember at this point. It's been so tame, but obviously, dude, I mean, go down there, get a little tan, make it happen. I mean, you were able to get down there last month, so you know the difference.
It was hot. It was hot down there last month, and the weather is what it is. Especially like you said, my plan before this winter was to buy a snowblower, and I'm glad I didn't because I only shoveled once, and it was only because I didn't want my wife to slip on the driveway. But by the next day, it was melted anyway.
Yeah.
So this winter has been whatever, not much of a winter, but
fine with me.
Yeah. So, dude, a lot has changed since last year. Last year's opening day, you almost have a 1-year-old.
Yes.
A lot has happened in the past year.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's been fun.
What's her birthday again? April?
It was opening day last year, so March 28th.
Okay.
So, so we'll be coming back around, and then I don't think she'll be quite diving into the Mets yet, but, and she'll have an idea what's going on. Now, last year I could kind of just like lay her on the couch and force her to watch the Mets. Now it's a little more difficult. She's moving around, crawling. It's kind of hard to keep her attention on anything for any length of time, but eventually we'll get there.
She's sleeping okay?
Yeah,
All right.
I know babies do.
Your hours are crazy anyway, so I feel like your sleep schedule is absolutely insane. So if you're getting any sleep, that's a plus. But I want to give a special shout out to our friends at Coors Light. I was texting Pete yesterday. I said, are the mountains blue? I said, absolutely. Before we went live, though, I talked to Lizzie, who's behind the scenes here. What's up, Lizzie?
Hey, guys.
Lizzie and Pete, if they remembered the Freaky Freezies, and both of them looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. But the Freaky Freezies, I'm pretty sure is that what they were called. They were gloves that would change color when they got cold. And I guess, I don't know how Coors Light does it, but the can has some Freaky Freezy abilities in here. So cheers to Coors Light. We got some really big things planned with them for this season. And cheers to our first beers of 2020.
Cheers.
Cheers, Pete. Cheers, Lizzie. Cheers, Coors Light.
Cheers.
It's always nice to have a beer before lunch.
Yes. That's like a little appetizer,
breakfast.
Or breakfast.
Start it up.
So
it's baseball season now. It's all allowed again.
Absolutely. First beer of the year in the books. We do have a phone line, 631-388-5195. You want to chime in and chit-chat about something Mets related. We do have a stacked show, so try to be on topic. I know we usually like to kind of be all over the place, but there is a lot to cover. A lot happened since our last show. Mickey Callaway out, Beltran in. He never lost a game, but he also never managed one for the Mets. But he wasn't really fired, but whatever. They came to an agreement. He's out.
Yeah. And
then Rojas is in. So what a freaking crazy offseason this has been, right?
It's never normal.
No, ever.
It's not like, this star player came in, big press conference, whole big thing. I mean, the big addition for the Mets as far as the press conference, the pomp and circumstance of it all was Beltran. And then we all know how that went. And I think in retrospect, the Mets absolutely made the right decision when you look at the anger around Major League Baseball towards the Astros. If they had held on to Carlos Beltran, it would not have worked. They would have had to make a change in spring training then when you consider how angry players are throughout. Even Michael Conforto talking to the New York Post about it, saying, hey, this is a team, the Mets have too much integrity to have done what the Astros did. So how are you going to play for a guy who was one of the masterminds, perhaps, of putting together this system in Carlos Beltran? It would not have worked. And it's been amazing to me just how much anger there is throughout the sport. You mentioned Mike Trout has never had an opinion on anything. Aaron Judge, a lot of guys that don't stick their beak out, Nick Markakis, and they are all pissed and going at the Houston Astros.
Justin Turner. A lot of guys have been very vocal. Bellinger. A lot of these guys really
I understand those guys because they are the Dodgers. They lost the World Series to the Astros, but what does Nick Markakis have to do with Houston? What Mike Trout's in the same division, but it's not like the Angels were very good. So the anger throughout the sport from players like Chris Bryant, who aren't even in competition with the Astros generally, that's really been eye-opening. And again, the Mets, they made the right call, and they made the decision they had to in letting Carlos Beltran go, and now we'll see what Luis Rojas can do. It's kind of the great unknown going into this year.
You brought up Conforto. I mean, I think that one of the press members asked him, how are you going to deal with it internally as far as, you have J.D. Davis in the team, or is that something that's going to be, between you guys? I said, we'll talk about it, but, it was such a honestly, I'm kind of over it by now. I had to actually I muted. I don't ever mute. It's the first two words I've ever muted on the Seven Lines account. Astros and Houston, because I'm just tired of hearing about it. I really wish baseball would get started already, but I know that
it's such a fascinating subplot going into the season. Like, do you not want to watch an Astros game at some point this year just to see? The Mets play the Astros a lot this spring training. Maybe the Mets don't have a lot of anger towards them, but there are teams in spring training that might try to take some shots at the Astros or try to level the playing field sometimes. I mean, I just think it's like a really interesting subplot going into the season because baseball, generally, you don't care what's going on outside of, in our universe, the Mets, right? Mm-hmm. You care about the Mets, you care about the teams in the division, but you don't necessarily care about Sunday Night Baseball, the American League teams. It's become a regional sport. Beyond your fantasy team, you might not be that into it, but now you have a villain, right? I mean, this is like the Patriots of baseball now, being this Houston Astros. It's going to be a very different dynamic this year.
I don't know. Just the whole thing with that. It's going to be a storyline all year, and I guarantee there's going to be some brawls this year because even though Manfred came out and said, you can't hit these guys, they're going to be taking some stuff into their own hands.
Something's going to happen.
Rightfully so. I mean, it's tough to compare this to like a Pete Rose thing, but for Pete to be, he agreed to the ban back then, but whatever. It's a whole different conversation. But for Pete Rose to be where he is still, and these guys know that what they were doing was cheating as well. They're not going to take the hardware away, and then the commissioner says, well, it's just a piece of metal.
I never understand why people compare this to Pete Rose.
I'm not comparing it to. I'm just saying,
honestly, like Pete Rose, completely separate thing. Don't gamble on the games. Done. No, that's not cheating. Pete Rose didn't cheat. Pete Rose gambled on baseball. It's the cardinal sin rule of Major League Baseball.
It's right in the locker room. It says don't do this.
Yes. I mean, he's the one that's trying to tie them together, but they're not. You could try to tie it to the steroid era, and one of the reasons why players didn't come out as unified against it at the time as it was developing was it wasn't only one team doing it. Like if it was only, let's say, Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire, and the Oakland Athletics, they were the only team using these things, there would be anger amongst those other teams that, they have an unfair advantage. But that wasn't the case. You had steroid guys on a lot of different teams and throughout the sport. It was one team that took it to a much further level, as far as we know, than anybody else.
So let's hit the phones. Familiar voice here. We got our first call of the year. What's up, Mr. Rallyman?
Greetings, Darren, Pete, Lizzie, Megan, RWOI, Seven Liners, and all Met fans. This is Rally Man 2020.
I guess Lizzie didn't say, hey, get to the point.
Oh, I did.
I had to get that in. Come on.
It's officially opening day.
It's opening day. What's up, Rally Man? Par for the
All
course.
right. Okay, so I think you guys, I'm not sure if you're touching about the whole cheating thing going on, but I'm just curious on what your thoughts are morally on it, and especially that Beltran's come up as a little bit more of a prominent figure in that whole thing. But other than that, let's leave it at that, guys. Tight show. Love you all. Let's go, Mets.
Have a good one.
Good to hear from you, Rally Man. Morally.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same, like, I understand what he's trying to say, and I feel the same way about it. I mean, I know guys are always looking for some type of advantage, but if you're going up there with a buzzer, I mean, granted, we don't know if that's 100% true, but if you're going up there with a buzzer or someone's banging on a trash can, you know it's coming, then I don't know if I'd be able to sleep with myself. And honestly, if I was an Astros fan right now, I might have to just give up. I don't know if I could cheer for these guys if I was an Astros fan.
I think it would be a little different.
I don't know,
but
it's phony. It's a sham.
You know what I think back on, even more so than the postseason. I remember when the Mets were in Houston in 2017, and it was kind of interesting because the stadium was basically empty because it was after Hurricane Harvey had gone through Houston.
Be at that
We
game
were
for an
supposed to
outing.
be at that
really?
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they played the series. They had like a doubleheader, or however they set it up. But I remember Chris Flexen getting rocked.
Yep.
In one of those games, and John Boy, one of the videos he found was that one because the stadium was so empty you could clearly hear the trash can. And I think it's someone like Flexen, who I think he's playing in Asia this upcoming year. Like, how much does it change?
His career changing.
His career trajectory that he gets bashed by Houston in that game, and they know what's coming. Does that set him on a path where maybe he changes something, or he might not have been a very good pitcher in the first place, and we know he got rushed up from AA a little bit, but, I mean, that's who I think of. And Seth Lugo brought it up as well, that he had to start in that series, and they bashed him around, and Lugo said, hey, maybe it cost me the opportunity to be a starting pitcher, that they thought I couldn't go through a lineup the third time, because the third time around, they had the signals and started to know exactly what was coming, and they, wiped him out. And then he didn't get to pitch deeper into games after that. But those are the type of things that players are so angry about, is it changes your whole career trajectory beyond, cheating for a title.
Right.
I agree.
I could not live with myself.
Yeah.
But if you guys were paying attention,
but everybody says that too. But if you were a kid, let's say you're J.D. Davis and you're a rookie and you get called up and that kind of stuff is starting to happen, what are you going to say? You're going to say Carlos Beltran, knock it off? Like, as a rookie in that situation?
I don't know what I would do.
No, but
Brian
aren't there a
McCann-
million other people around? Okay, forget about a rookie. When you're a rookie, you keep your mouth shut and you keep it moving. But I mean, if you're a prominent
They're all
player,
responsible.
yeah,
I couldn't. That's why I couldn't cheer for them. But listen, guys, if you've been paying attention in the past couple of days, I've been promoting this Pete Alonso Rookie of the Year bobblehead from our friends at FOCO. So FOCO's hooking you guys up. We got 3 this time. So normally we used to do there's just the share contest on Twitter and Facebook, which we're still doing. So if you're watching live right now, share the show on both Facebook and Twitter. But we also have a third bobblehead because now, Pete, if you haven't heard, we are on Instagram television. So it's not live. If you're watching this on Instagram, it is a repeat. But we still want to be able to hook you guys up with a bobble. So here are the rules. The rules for today on the FOCO promo. Click share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, or if you're watching this right now on Instagram, which you could do later, you usually have 3 chances to win if you're watching live. Go on right now on the video of today's episode and comment, I want that Pete Alonso at FOCO USA bobblehead. That's all you got to do. And you must be following FOCO USA to win. And if you don't win, they also have this promo code up for you. So 10% off on FOCO.com. Use the promo code LFGM10, and that'll take 10% off your entire order. So if you don't win, you can still go buy one. They are $60 a pop and up as a pre-sale right now. But anything else you see on the entire website, Mets-related or not, you can get a discount with that LFGM10 promo code on FOCO.com. So shout out to those guys. And I always say this, but I don't think I did it this time because I said, hey, send us 3. The third usually stays here. We got to ask for 4 next time. So 1 stays here. So shout out to those
Pete
guys.
ain't stealing any signs, right? Pete Alonso, I was talking with Tim Britton. He said Pete Alonso showed up year 2, same guy.
Yep.
Sometimes you wonder about that.
Drunk as hell.
Wants to get drunk as hell on the parade float after a world title.
I love that.
Speaking of, So right when that came out, I knew that this was going to get denied, but I'm going to show you the design. I can't show the public this design. So design something immediately after that press conference and send it through for approval. It said drunk as hell on a float as part of the design. What do you think the comment came back from my approval process? You know, everything has to go through licensing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it said?
I don't know.
This is the comment. Unfortunately, we cannot approve a design portraying a player as drunk as hell. So that's out the window. We will not be making a drunk as hell.
Not until it happens, and then you can just take a photo of Pete Alonso drunk as hell on a float, and then you can do whatever you want with that, right?
So speaking of the press, though, some guys are very vocal. Some guys are more reserved. You don't get much out of them. Pete Alonso is obviously on one side of the spectrum, and now we have Cespedes on the complete opposite side of the spectrum that told the guys the other day, guys and gals, he won't be talking to them today, tomorrow, or any point throughout this season. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was maybe taken the wrong way? Did he have a bad day? Does he maybe not want to talk about his injury because maybe he legally can't?
Well, he's always been like
because
that.
Because the settlement. But, I mean, honestly, once the season starts, if he crushes 3 home runs on opening day, you don't think he's going to talk to the press?
It's up to him.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, look.
I think he will, meaning.
Yeah. He hasn't. I think there was a game where he had a big hit, and he didn't talk after the game. This is something that's always gone on with Cespedes. Moody is the right word, or just disinterested in that aspect of being a baseball player. I mean, look, I'm not a writer. I don't need to hear from him in order to talk about the team, but it is nice to understand a player's perspective on certain things so that you can use that. I mean, there are plenty of times that, I can't believe this guy did that, and then they explain it after the game, and you go, all right, well, now I understand exactly what they were thinking in that spot, and at least, like, you put some ration to it. If he doesn't want to do that, so be it. I mean, maybe, for all I know, he's just so furious at the Mets because, they went after his money, essentially, after the incident on his ranch involving the wild boar, that he doesn't want to talk about that because he can't talk about the team. I don't know. We don't know what's going on with him, and this is, what it leads to is you kind of have this mystery. Does it bother other guys because they have to speak more because Cespedes doesn't speak as much? Maybe but for fans, I understand. People aren't. You just want to see Cespedes play well.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. If you never hear from him, so be it.
I mean, on the same hand, though, like the same day that he didn't want to talk to the press, he spent extra time signing for the fans in Port St. Lucie. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's just isolating himself from everybody. Yeah. Just doesn't want to talk to the media for whatever reason.
Well, look, and he's
put out that hype video a couple weeks ago.
He's clearly upset at some things that have been said, the doubters that might be out there. And look, I'm one of them. You have those kind of lower body injuries for years now, and you're not able to work out, stay in shape, do these things. You had quad and hamstring muscle injuries before. Anyway, how do you expect that guy to go out and play left field every day? I don't see how you could do that. It looks like he's put on some weight and maybe taken a bit off over the last few weeks, but that just to me is not a recipe of a guy who's be able to play 140, 150 games, and it can't just be, he's motivated by the money now. Physically, can he really hold up? And that's going to be one of the big subplots in spring training. But really, we won't know until you get to May, June, and how often is he playing out there in left field. I have no doubt he'll hit, but he has to be able to do more than just hit in order to play for this team in the National League.
Absolutely. I don't see it happening, him being out there for 140 games. Unfortunately, or I don't know where you sit on this, I think we talked about last year, the DH. If that was implemented here, then we'd be in great shape. But
it'd be great, yeah.
We don't. We don't have that luxury yet. Our buddy Giraffe Neck Mark says Cespedes is going to hit 50 home runs this year. So we'll see.
Make money on it. You could bet it somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. It really depends on if they switch back to the 2018 balls or not. If it's the same ball as last year, I have no doubt that he'll be crushing them as long as he's in the lineup. But, time will tell. So Lowry shows up, basically a brace from his ankle to his groin, somehow still cleared to do all of baseball activities. Why he came back last year, even for the end in September, if he was still hurt, I have no idea. He came back and played. I don't even think he even got a hit.
He got 9 games. And, all right, sometimes I think it's good for guys just to come back and, okay, I got to play. But I think, was just basically limited to hitting.
I'm expecting nothing out of Lowry this year.
Well, the thing is, he's another guy defensively. Where do you put him? They've talked about he might not have the lateral movement in order to play third base. He can't play shortstop anymore, so he's basically just a second baseman. And if you're the Mets, you're already loaded at that position. You have Robinson Cano, Jeff McNeil could play second, Luis Guillorme could play second. So how are you going to make that work if that's the only spot that Jed Lowry can play now? The reason that he would have value coming off the bench for you is if he can slide into a Jeff McNeil type of role and play multiple positions. So, yeah, I think it's a major question mark what Lowry can bring to this club, even if he's healthy. But I will say this, for all the rumors in the offseason that the Mets are going to try to, tie Lowry with like Dom Smith in order to get rid of the contract. I'm glad they didn't do that. I think Dom Smith is a nice guy to, if not have on your bench, have some insurance at AAA, and hopefully he could show that he could play left field and you could platoon him out there with J.D. Davis. That would be great.
I mean, Dom had quite a year last year, walked off the season with a home run, which was great. But, he was also battling injury. But, I mean, it's tough because, like you said, we don't have an everyday spot for
He's the guy
Smith.
who came back at the end, right? He was on
Came
the
back,
wheel
boom.
forever. And,
How fun was that, though? The end of last season, I mean, we went through the whole lucky horseshoe, and I didn't hear no bell and everything else that we were kind of grasping, or at least I was grasping onto at the end of the year to try to believe that there was some type of lucky charm. But you know that Pugsley's partner is now a member of the Seven Line Army. So he got season tickets. His jersey says Pugsley. So welcome. I should have wrote down his name. Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. Excited to see you out there. I don't know if Pugsley can really. Got to find a way to get Pugsley in the ballpark. That'd be great.
God! But where is the horseshoe right now? Are we ready for opening day with that?
It's actually at home. It's at home.
Okay.
I don't have it in here. I don't know if it's good luck to, keep last year's good luck charm.
It was for 2 weeks.
It was great. More than that. That run was incredible. And like you said, Dom Smith was out there on his little scooter.
Yeah.
The guys were having a lot of fun at the end of the year, and hopefully they just pick up right where they left off. NL East is going to be it's always pretty competitive, but if you take that, Pacoda, if you take that into consideration, they say the Mets are winning the NL East, but
Dude,
we'll see
all
what
the
happens.
projections love the Mets. I'm like, did the projections just like throw out last year and don't worry about it? And you got
Maybe
a top 5 bullpen? Like, some of the projections are really it doesn't meet the eye test with what we saw last year. We know there's talent in that Mets bullpen, and that's the area that I tend to focus on with it. But how can you expect the Mets to go out and have a top 5 bullpen with everything that we saw go wrong last year? It's basically the same group with Dellin Betances added. You still have Edwin Diaz, who you're counting on to close out games, and Jeurys Familia, and hoping he lost 30 pounds and turns back the clock a few years. That is wild to me, is how bullish those projections, which weed out all the emotion and BS, are on the Mets, especially in this division.
So let me put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
A little bold prediction time. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do wins because clearly that's just throwing a dart at the wall right now, even though I'd say 95.
All
right, so want to do that then? All right, throw a dart. How many wins for the team this year?
87.
87?
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done. Will Jacob deGrom win his 3rd Cy Young?
Yes.
Okay, yes. And I'll leave the 3rd one up to you. Just any type of bold prediction. Do you think that we're going to see a Diaz, I don't even know if that's bold, but a Diaz bounce back, Familia actually come back to form? Like, what do you think could be the boldest prediction or something that you could see actually happening?
Rick Porcello throws well. I think he'll be a good pitcher for the Mets this year. Not great, cut below all-star. I think Rick Porcello will bounce back and have a good year for the Mets.
All right. And the Mets,
is that bold?
He also won a Cy Young, right? So we have 3 Cy Young, awards on the.
Yeah, I'm not putting him at that level. I'll say Porcello will be better than Stroman. How about that?
All right. I was going to say my bold prediction is that Stroman's going to be great. I mean, I like everything from this guy. Now he's got his full first, Mets camp under his belt. Clearly, he came in at the end of the season last year, but the way that he is with his teammates, the way he trains, the way I just like everything about him. He's such a positive guy, and I'm honestly starting it already. The whole PMA and the way that you think, the way that you carry yourself, the way you conduct your business on and off the field, at work, at home, with your family, whatever. Be positive is so much more conducive to like a happy life than just always being negative. And I feel like he has that. And
it's a nice party trick if you could balance wine on your back while bear crawling, right?
Did you see people try to do it?
I did not see people
A couple other, I don't know if it was college guys or minors guys tried to do it and copy his crawling technique with the wine on his back. We could maybe do that with these new Dugout Mugs, which I want to tell you guys about. So Dugout Mugs, shout out to our friends at Dugout. You can't see Lizzie today because of course, of course, right before the show went on, we had our third camera drop for some reason. But dugoutmugs.com on board for 2020, and they are the only bat mug out there with an MLB license. So if you go to dugoutmugs.com and scroll down and check out all the different offerings, these are all licensed by Major League Baseball. They also have the Hall of Fame license and the Players Association license. So what we're doing with them, which is very cool, they are a Florida company. They're down in the Tampa area. They will be at Hop Life on Friday, and they made these T7LA badge mugs. If you're watching live, there you go. That's the mug. They're going to be bringing them to Hop Life on Friday. So definitely come by. These will eventually be up for sale on our website, but if you want to grab one down at spring training, maybe bring it to the game the next day, we have 1,200 tickets to the game on Saturday. So come to Hop Life on Friday, pick up your dugout mug, but definitely check out their website, dugoutmugs.com. Again, they are the only officially licensed by Major League Baseball bat mug, founded or the bat mug was invented by Randall Thompson back in 2014, and the dugout mugs are great, make a great gift. What I heard is the anniversary, each anniversary is like a different, paper anniversary, something anniversary.
Yeah.
The 5th anniversary is wood.
Okay.
Is what I've been
Is
told.
it really?
So it makes a good anniversary gift.
Cool.
You can customize it with anything you want. So go to
The wood anniversary.
Yep. More ways than one. Hey, let me show you.
Whoa,
Anyway,
hey, whoa,
dugoutmugs.com, and they also hooked us up with this special promo code for you guys as well. This is an unbelievable promo code. So 25% off your entire order on dugoutmugs.com. Use the promo code OABT25 for 25% off. They have not only the bat mugs, but they also make a shot glass. I think you got it behind you, Pete. They make a shot glass. They make a bottle opener.
The knob of the bat.
Lizzie, throw me that one. Hopefully this doesn't break anything.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on, wait. All right, good.
Nicely done.
This one is awesome. This is a wine glass. It's called Wind Up. What's it say on the bottom of
I
that?
love the wine glass.
Was it shot something?
It's a knob shot.
Knob shot. This one says Wind Up. And what does that one say?
This would be good for some wheatgrass.
Yeah. What does the bottle opener say in the bottom?
The bottle opener says season opener.
Season opener.
Cute.
So shout out to Dugout Mugs. Thanks for hopping on board this season. And we'll see you on Friday. So definitely come on down to Hop Life on Friday. If you haven't seen the blog post yet, go to theselfline.com, click on the blog for the spring training meetup. And this has all the information for what we got going on Friday night. Again, the weather doesn't look great, but Hop Life has a new outdoor space that is covered. So we're going to be all set. So definitely don't let the weather deter you from coming down, especially since our friends are going to be there with the dugout mugs.
Is that a lobster roll?
That is a lobster roll. I don't know if that food truck will be there, but
I'm so hungry.
they do have food trucks coming. They do have live music. They do have a bunch of games, Jenga and cornhole and all that good stuff. We're going to be there around 5 o'clock. So Hop Life is located 679 Northwest Enterprise Drive. 101 is the number of the building. It's in like an industrial area, pretty much about like a mile from the ballpark. So definitely circle your calendars for Friday. Come on out. It's going to be a great time.
Do a little jog over there. I did a 5K in Port Saint Lucie as a turkey trot and went down there for Thanksgiving. So,
no way.
I took a little family detour and ran around the area. It wasn't near the ballpark.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
So don't we have to run? At least you have to run this year? What was our bet last year with one of the callers?
The Jigsaw in East Islip, a
You can't cheat this
4-mile
year.
race. I have not, I got to be honest, I have not done any research. I just remembered it like 2 weeks ago. This is good for running.
Yeah, of course.
Just got a carbo load, But yeah, I'll have to look into that race, and we'll put that one back on the map.
Was I part of that? I don't know if I was supposed to.
I don't think you got sucked into it.
Good,
but I'll
because I
suck
don't want
you
to
into
run.
it.
I don't want to run.
You do live a lot closer to the race than I do.
I'm a motocross racer now. I decided over the off season. I haven't raced a dirt bike since I'm 13. I did buy a bike right at the end of the season. I sold the Harley I had. I bought a dirt bike. I've been going to the track a lot. And with the weather, I've been able to ride a lot. So I have March 22nd circled on my calendar that I'm going to race again. And now that I'm putting it out there into the universe, or at least anyone who watches this that cares, now that I'm saying I'm going to race, I kind of have to.
From what I can tell, you've basically gone back to being a 13-year-old with the BMX, the dirt bike, And then Mets fantasy camp, so you got to relive your Little League glory as well.
Barely, because when I played Little League until like managers pitch. So when I went down to Florida, I was shitting my pants. I really thought that there's no way I'm going to be able to hit a ball. What did I get myself into? Because when I went to the training sessions, shout out to Gary Pincus, Baseball Academy in New Hyde Park. We went there during the offseason, and anyone who was going to fantasy camp could then practice at Gary's place. You chip in like $5-10 and it goes towards charity. But we were practicing on the weekends and I'm like, man, these guys are serious. They're showing up with like all their own bats, all their own gear. They travel, they play every weekend on real teams. I haven't played since I'm like 11. I'm going to get smoked. But I went down there and somehow was able to hit until the last game on Game 7. We were already out of the playoffs. Maybe I let my game face was off. I was hitting like in the 500s until Game 7, and then on Game 7 I stunk. But I did walk away with the team MVP, which was voted on by my peers. Which was, I'm glad they voted before Game 7 because in Game 7 I sucked.
It's not an important game anyway.
No, we were
Game
out.
7. Oh, okay.
We were out.
It's a consolation.
The first
Game
4
7.
games, the way it works is if anyone cares, you want to go to fantasy camp, it's a phenomenal time. It's a tournament style, so the guys take it very serious. And I'm a competitive guy, so you get drafted. I was on Steve Traxel and Ed Hearn's team. They called it 7 Train, and I was like, oh man, like I don't want this to be about me. Like, I don't know if they did that because they drafted me and then like, oh, it's called 7 Train, 7 Line, whatever. So I kind of was a little weird about that, but I got my first hit in the first game, kind of get off to the right on the right foot. But the first 4 games, it's tournament style. So the best 4 teams make the playoffs. So the first 4 games count to the seeding. Game 5, I had the walk-off hit. In the 10th inning, not spring training.
They rip your jersey off?
No.
Did your wife
I had
allow
a buzzer on. The fantasy camp games are 7 innings because you play 7 games in 4 days. So I had the walk-off in the bottom of the 10th. Games are normally 7 innings. It was a 0-0 game. So usually games are very high scoring down there. Everything's a hit. If you get it to a guy and he drops the ball, there's no errors. If you make it to first, it's a hit.
That's how you hit 500.
That's how I hit 5. I think it was 550 at that point, but I ended up with like 420 or something like that. Whatever.
Good number.
Yeah, but the guys the next day, this lineup card was in my locker, so it was a phenomenal week. Such a great time. I highly recommend it. Shout out to all my teammates. It was such a fun time.
So who of the former players that are there? I got 2 questions. One, who could still play?
They didn't really play. I mean, they normally do a campers versus coaches game, but since the ballpark wasn't ready, we didn't get that chance.
So you didn't get to play against any of them or anything?
No,
like
I mean,
that?
you got to hit against them in the morning. So like,
Okay.
I took BP against like Mookie and Traxel and Heath Bell and Figueroa.
Heath Bell.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
He is
Turk
fun as hell.
Wendell.
And Turk was there too?
Turk was a riot. Turk in the clubhouse was awesome. Like it was serious, man. You had to be. I was there before the sun's up every day. So like 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up. It's real. Like you're not going out. Like you tell your wife, I'm going to fantasy camp. They maybe. Kelly didn't think this, but like, oh, you're gonna go out and get wasted at night. Like you go to sleep. You're tired. It's real camp. So in the morning, there's a list of like where you got to be, what times. There's a morning meeting. There's all this like structured stuff. And Turk would go into the clubhouse. All right, line up, everybody. Like, get people like nervous. Like, oh, I got to be somewhere. What's going on? It was so much fun. But during BP, it was almost like wearing a buzzer because Figueroa was telling you what he's going to throw you just to see if you could hit it. And, they throw you meatballs just to get you loose and whatever. And then he's like, all right, slider. And you can't touch it. Like I'm not a baseball player, but like when you're throwing meatballs that, underhand toss, whatever, just to get your swing down. And the biggest piece of advice I got, I think it was on day 2, was from Tim Tuffle. So I don't know why I do this, but I keep my arms up pretty high in the box. And he said, you're wasting a millisecond getting your hands down. Just start here. And I started here and I bat 5, whatever. So it was great. It was such a great experience. Right across from me was Dwight Gooden's locker. The thing that I had to get used to was the showers. I've never taken a shower in a locker room with like no partitions.
Okay.
So it is a little weird. You're walking around, everyone's naked. I've never been in that atmosphere. I've never played, high school sports and college, whatever. So that was a little weird, a little getting used to. The ice baths were interesting. I don't know if you've ever been in one, but they make these little booties to go over your feet, your little toes. So when you get in, you don't want to instantly jump out. But my groin was killing me. My hamstrings were shot. So by the first day, there's trainers there. You're basically treated like a player. They say, all right, do 10 minutes ice, 10 minutes hot, and go back and forth, whatever it is. So it was such an experience. It was so much fun.
Second question, who's the best storyteller there?
some stories you can't really.
Well, I know you can't repeat, but who is the best storyteller?
Ed Hearn. Ed Hearn was my coach, and he had some good stories. He wasn't with the Mets that long, and he's battled a whole bunch of his own physical ailments over the years, and he's got an incredible story. And Ed was great. The first night after you get drafted, you go out for a team dinner. So Traxel, Ed Hearn, and my guys. Shout out to my guys here. I haven't found a spot yet for this. We all went to Duffy's. So we're all sitting there, and which I like that. It was more laid back. You get a table, you sit down and chop it up. So it's weird. You're sitting at dinner with two ex-players and your teammates and just hanging out. But I would say the loudest guy down there, I don't know if it technically like the stories, but Kevin Baez was a coach.
Okay.
And his team actually won week 1, so he was puffing his chest out a little bit at the dinner on Friday night. But it was so much fun. I highly recommend it. Doug Dickey does a phenomenal job. Shout out to him. He organizes the whole thing. So I know there's a long waiting list, but if you want to get on it, definitely contact Doug Dickey. I don't know how you go through the website, but definitely I recommend it. So I've
always heard great things about it.
Did you play?
No. I've never been able to do it. Did I play baseball growing up? I played growing up. Yeah, I played Little League until I was 15. I wasn't particularly good, but I enjoyed pitching. That was always fun and something I know Matt Cerrone think about.
I think he played into college, at least high school. I've seen some photos of him in his uniform. I think he should do it. Anyone should do it. And people think like, oh, I don't have experience. Like neither did I. But if you take some swings, get prepped a little beforehand, stretch, run a little bit, you can definitely excel down there. But it's there's 2 locker rooms. So I think in my camp there was 3 women. So it's both can join. Anyone can play. All ages. There's some guys that are up to like 60, 70 years old. I don't want to. I'm gonna say. I don't even want to say it, but I'm surprised worse things don't happen down there when guys are running around for 7 days straight. So let's hit the phones. We got Herman. What's up, Herman? How you doing?
Darren, Pete, how are you guys?
Herman, what's up?
I'm right here in Port Saint Lucie, waiting for you to get here.
Oh, you're already down there?
Oh, I usually come a week. I got a place in Vero Beach, so I usually come down a week ahead of time.
So are you down there?
Actually,
are you down there watching the guys, or have you hit any of the training?
No, I got in on Monday. Did some work. I'm actually going to start going tomorrow morning. I'm actually in Vero Beach. We're looking for the wild board because New York wants to talk to him, but I can't find him. No, I just wanted to call you real quick, say hello. I usually call every first episode of the year. And I think everybody else should be excited as I am because I believe that we're playing with a chip on our shoulder, and I believe the guys are going to do what they're supposed to do.
All right, Herman.
People just got to relax and everything else, and I hope to see you guys on Friday.
Absolutely. See you Friday night. Thanks for calling in.
Let's hope.
You already know. Take care, guys.
Good hearing from you, Herman.
Bye-bye.
So
it's like happy New Year, it feels like, right?
He's like keeping the tradition going. We got Herman, we got Rally Man. So give a shout if you want, 631-388-5195. Also, don't forget to share the show if you want to be in the running for this Pete Alonso bobble from our friends at FOCO. Hit up FOCO.com. And if you want to win on Instagram, again, here are the rules for that. So go to this post on Instagram right now with the video and just comment right now, I want that Pete Alonso at FOCO USA. Make sure you at them, bobblehead, and you must be following them to win. So the episodes now, Pete, are going to go instant, like how we put the podcast up right away. Mm-hmm. They will instantly go on Instagram as well. So this is a new thing for us. I'm excited about it. I only found out recently that you can upload files directly to your Instagram account from a computer. So it should be like pretty instant. So when we turn this thing off, we should already be up on IGTV. So thank you guys. All the platforms. And if you're listening, we don't really promote this that much, but if you are listening, subscribe, rate, comment. It's good for the show. Tell your friends. We're more of a visual show, I feel. We're drinking the beers. We have the mugs. We're showing the bobbles.
Well, look at our faces. Look at these mugs.
Pete's got a face for video, clearly, SNY. How's that been going? Been doing the thread and all that?
Yeah, doing the thread about twice a week. So keep it busy over there, which is fun. It's the freelance life, baby.
Is there wardrobe?
Doing some fan stuff, hosting, updates, all that good thing.
Because that's more like the laid back show on SNY, right?
The thread, yes. It's a little more casual.
We make a polo shirt. I don't know if you're allowed to wear that.
I wore this on the show
Did
once.
You?
I don't think they want the
of course
team.
I'm just joking.
Stuff on the show, so I've kind of backed off of the team stuff. But
all right.
But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's casual, chill. You can wear a hoodie and stuff, and then it's fun. It's not just people yelling at each other. Though it does sometimes turn into that. You know how it goes.
Yeah, of course. And, I feel like it's when I get not invited, but like I went to the Fan Fest this year, and full disclosure, I did get a credential. So I was able to walk around and film. I did make a little segment that got a ton of views about the Fan Fest.
I didn't make it out there, but it seemed like people had a blast. I've never seen so many selfies with players before.
Yeah.
Like my whole Facebook, Twitter, all the Met fans that we interact with, it felt like so many people were there and had the opportunity to really, chomp it up, as you said before, with current Mets players. It looked like a very cool thing. So many guys there and participating and making themselves available. I mean, again, I wasn't there. I didn't have the firsthand view like you did, but it looked like a really fun event.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys care, go to the YouTube channel and check it out. But yeah, it was really put together great. The Mets did a great job. And, the amount of guys that were there, I mean, some clearly couldn't make it, but a lot of the players were there. Pete was there. DeGrom was there. Garrett, Keith, and Rod had panels. So, there's a lot going on at the exact same time. So you couldn't be there for everything. So, like, if you wanted to watch this panel, you may have missed this autograph session or whatever. But that's just the nature of the beast, especially in year one. But they did a great job with it. And the scariest part for me was there was a crew following Pete Alonso around. I don't know who it was. I don't think it was the Mets, but somebody was following him around for the day. And he was in the visitors' batting cage throwing live BP to fans. And a couple screamers came back, and I'm like, what is going on? I was like, I get it for like a minute. Get a couple shots.
Hey, he's behind the net.
It was 15 minutes. He doesn't throw BP. Like to duck back behind that L-shaped net, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was a scary thing to watch, and I was like, oh, what? This is so Mets. We got Lugo breaking his pinky toe in his hotel room down in Port St. Lucie.
Hit the ottoman, apparently.
Watch freaking, glad it didn't happen, but Pete Alonso breaks his hand throwing BP.
Yeah, you got to have some fun. You can't just put people in glass bubbles. But I will say, too, shout out to the Queens Baseball Convention guys and Keith and Dan, who've run a great event for so many years. And I don't think that would have happened without the work that these guys did over the past few off seasons. So, the fact that this event seemingly went well,
yeah,
and the Mets getting involved in stuff, I think, certainly a tip of the cap to the work that those guys put into the QBC.
100%. And I don't know the whole details of it. I know Keith and Dan both wrote something on their site about, they were supposed to be somewhat involved, and I guess for whatever reason they weren't involved. But I don't think that the QBC ended up getting canceled for a number of reasons, and it wasn't really just because the Mets did their own. They changed venues. They got a bigger spot out on Long Island. Costs went up, and so on and so forth. So I don't think the QBC is dead by any means. I think that maybe just a year off. I know Keith's been posting some cryptic messages with a phoenix rising with the logo on the bottom. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, but I don't think you've seen the last of QBC. And I don't talk about this much, but I was one of the founders in the beginning. So it was me, Shannon, and Media Goon started QBC. I don't know who. I think Keith came up with the name because convention, Comic-Con, all that cons was big. Mm-hmm. And once I got the license, and my off seasons I'm busier in the off season than I am during the season. I kind of parted ways, and I know Shannon did as well, and that's when Dan came in. But they do a great job, and I hope that it's not the end of it. I know you were involved. A lot of our friends were involved. Matt Cerrone, Joe DeMeo, a lot of the panel members, Mark Healy. It was fun. I had so much fun. And you can't compare the two because anything team run or fan run will never be comparable. And it's the same reason why, the Kansas City Royals started, what do they call it? The Keep. The Keep is their group of fans, kind of supposed to be like the Seven Line Army.
Okay.
They're the keepers of their field, whatever they want to call it. It's run by the team. It's not going to be ever to the same level as what this is. And that's not a pat on the back for us. It's just the way that things work. Run by the team or run by a fan group, it's never going to be comparable. And I think Mets Fan Fest was great. I think QBC is great too. They're not comparable because, like you said, you go to QBC, it's almost like a reunion. You're seeing a lot of the same people. It's not just let me schmooze and take a selfie with this player. It's let me talk to these people. Let me maybe buy something from Dave Maggio because he's, or Herm. They got their art set up and completely different scenarios. But I definitely think there's room for both to be around in the future. I hope.
Absolutely.
I hope. So let's talk more about the team. the Wilpons, the Katz family, the Cohen. Now we got A-Rod and J-Lo. Do you think this has any legs, this A-Rod and J-Lo thing?
Well, they don't have the money to buy the team, which is kind of scary to think about. So they'd have to involve somebody else. But look, anybody who grew up a Mets fan, I think there's got to be something extra special. There aren't many of these teams that go up on the market as it is. And if it's your team, and Alex Rodriguez, as we know, grew up a big Mets fan, he'd get to compete with Derek Jeter in the NL East, which might hold a little sway for him. He clearly just loves being involved in the game in one form, fashion, or another, and he doesn't mind a little attention as well. So,
no.
Look, I mean, it's not the most ridiculous thing, but the key to me, if I'm following this as a fan, my concern would be someone spending so much to buy the team that they then don't have the money to build the team in the way that it needs to be done on the field. And that's what's happened in Miami. Mm-hmm. Derek Jeter and his group, they spent so much on the team that they had to trade Yelich and Stanton and all these guys and get costs down so they could get their feet under them and afford the team. And then hopefully, they hope to build it up. It's like spending so much on a house that needs to be renovated, and then you got to live with a bad kitchen for a long time. Right. That would be my concern. That's why Steve Cohen, I think, was so attractive for Mets fans, because that wouldn't be an issue. He'd cut a check, it seems like, and have the team and go forward from there. But that didn't work out. Now, some reports today from The Athletic as well as AM New York that Cohen could be sitting in the background and might not actually be out. And apparently that might be causing some other potential buyers to stay out of it because they're worried that he'll just come in and trounce them. So, this whole thing will play out over the course of the year, and we'll get little drips and drabs along the way. And then I guess one day we'll just wake up and you find out, all right, the Mets are being sold, and that'll be that.
It's the SNY thing. That's what's really holding up the whole thing. I guess SNY is on the table as part of this deal.
Well, now it supposedly is
back.
Supposedly, this was the Athletic report, I believe, that SNY, it's at least something that people can talk about purchasing, whereas it wasn't on the table initially with Cohen's $2.6 billion deal.
They're going to come back. He's probably just waiting for them to come back and be like, all right, we'll take it.
Well, a lot has changed now. The big holdup was this 5-year waiting period, as far as we know, with Cohen and the Wilpons. And now that's gone. With the Wilpons putting the team up, there's no, hey, we got to be in control for 5 years. That has changed. But the other thing to keep in mind is, did Cohen tick off the wrong people, Major League Baseball, other owners, to the fact that Rob Manfred clearly took the Wilpons' side in all of this and said they didn't do anything wrong. But I think there's a question as to whether or not Cohen would be approved now as one of those 30 owners in Major League Baseball. So there's a lot there, and you pick up a little bit in each report that comes out. Yeah. But I think for fans, all you want is a team that's going to spend what it takes to win, and an owner who stays the hell out of the way, right? Like, hire a good GM, hire somebody that the fans trust to run the team, handle the baseball moves, and then get out of the way. That's what you want from an owner. You want someone who cares about the team, understands the fan base, understands what it is to be a Mets fan. And I think that's kind of exciting, too, is that you can have someone who grew up a fan of the team and maybe gets it at a different level, because the Mets are unique. It's a unique team to root for. You wouldn't get it rooting for any other team in the same way. The relationship with the Yankees in New York to, just the culture around the team, hashtag lol Mets. I don't know, the whole thing, the 7 line, all of this kind of stuff. There's no other team that has the kind of culture around it that the Mets do, and Mets fans are so passionate. I mean, you don't have like social interactions with any team as often as the Mets. Like, people live and die with this team in a way that they don't with other teams.
This whole thing has been such a mess, though. And like you said, it is the LOL Mets. I mean, everything that comes out is just like, oh, does it shock you? No, nothing shocks me ever. When I hear anything with this team, nothing shocks me. And, I was excited about the thought of Cohen being the owner, more so because of just how reckless he seems with his money and a win at all costs type attitude. And, people bring in his SEC fines and things that he's not, an angel.
No.
But if this is a guy that's opening the checkbook to win at all costs, I was definitely excited about that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's something that is out of our hands. All we could do is talk about it when and if it happens. But if you haven't shared the show yet, don't forget we're going to select that winner in just a few minutes now. We are giving away this Foco bobblehead, this Pete Alonso bobblehead. And all you got to do to be in the running is retweet right now if you're watching on Twitter, share if you're watching on Facebook, or if you're watching the replay on Instagram, just comment that I want that at Foco USA bobble, and you will be put into the running to win. So I do want to also shill a little bit for the 7-Line Army. We do have our group outings up for grabs. It was a little bit of a late start on the one for Nationals Park because we were working out some details with the Nationals, and shout out to our buddy Adam Dantis, who is our ticket rep down there. So April 4th, it is their second game of the year. We're going to be down there, and our ticket packages are still up. We have about 200 tickets left. If you go to the7line.com, they are available there. There is an optional round-trip bus ride from Rally Bus, as always. And the good thing is that the game starts at 4 o'clock, so we don't have to leave at like 4 in the morning. We have to leave a little bit later. We do have our pregame party at Mission right before the game, so it's going to be a fun time. It's $95, a little bit more expensive than last year, but the Nationals are considering this a premium game because they are unfortunately getting either their rings that day or they're raising some type of banner that day.
That's something that happened since our last show. The Nationals won a playoff series. What the hell?
Which is not going to really affect us. I don't want to see that either, but that stuff typically happens like an hour before first pitch. We'll still be at the bar, so whatever. It'll be business as
Late
usual.
arrival.
Once the game starts, definitely head up to 7line.com and pick up tickets while supplies last. And also, our next home game, we're sold out until May for the home games. Our game on Tuesday, May 19th, I think there's 50 tickets left, the last I checked with the Mets. That's for Tuesday night, our first weeknight game of the season. Tuesday, May 19th against the Diamondbacks. It also includes the 2020 jersey for $43. So, hit that up and pick up tickets while they still last. So Lizzie, unfortunately, does not have a camera here, but
Womp womp.
she's on the mic. Lizzie, did you select today's winners?
I did.
So what we're doing differently this year, guys, because that whole tell me when to stop and scroll through my phone and pull up the retweets takes way too long. It's too long. It's bad for it's bad radio. It's bad podcasting. So Lizzie did the same thing I do, like when I'm on Instagram and I pick a random person to win something or Twitter. She did that with her eyes closed, and she selected today's winners. So Lizzie, take it away.
So our Twitter winner is Stephen Kirk. That's at SDOTKIRK. So congratulations to you. And our Facebook winner is Craig Spickler.
I
will be messaging you guys.
Message them right now so we don't forget, because we get an email or whatever, we get a message like a week or two later, hey, I won that bobblehead. I'm not trying to be stingy here, but you didn't mail it yet. So now that Lizzie's taking care of picking the winners, she's emailing them right away so it doesn't land on our shoulders. Clearly, this is a high-class operation here. So thanks, Lizzie. And Instagrammers, do your thing. Comment now. So, Pete, Friday night Hop Life. I know you won't be there, but it's going to be a fun time. I'll miss you. But next week...
What about me? Will you miss me?
Yeah, I'll miss you too. Next week, we'll recap spring training. It should be a fun time. Definitely don't let the weather forecast scare you away from coming to Hop Life on Friday night. And Saturday, we have 1,200 tickets. That's much more than we've ever had out there on the berm. They're calling it the Hill now. It's not the Hill. It is the berm. The berm, it will always be the berm. And we get to get into the ballpark an hour early. So they're doing this special ribbon cutting ceremony, even though the stadium's not really done yet. But Clover Park...
Close enough. There will be baseball in it, so it is open.
Clover Park is opening. There's a new, right behind home plate is a new entrance. So there used to be like those two ramps on the side. So now it's like almost like Citi Field, like at the Rotunda. New entrance, new name, new big-ass bar in left field. And we have our early entry wristbands, which give us a discount on rum buckets and beer.
Rum buckets?
Which they've never done a discount on rum buckets or beer for us. So shout out to them for that. It's going to be a fun time. So don't forget your wristbands. If you're watching this or listening to this and you're packing right now and you're sitting with us on a Saturday, do not forget your wristbands. I will not have any extra. I run the show.
Don't forget your tickets. Don't forget your wristbands. Don't forget your T-shirts.
Don't forget anything. I run the show solo down there, and there's only so much I can handle. So if you forget anything, you might not be able to get in. So don't forget anything. Tell your friends. Set yourself up with a note, a reminder, an alarm, something that says, or you know what? If you're packing right now, pack that stuff in your bag right now. Don't worry about underwear. You could buy that from the plethora of chain businesses.
There's a
Port Saint
Walmart
Lucie.
nearby.
Everything.
That's
You
what
don't
I
need
understand.
anything.
You're all set.
You need nothing. You need yourself, your ticket, your shirt, and your wristband.
Bring your phone so you can take a picture at Mike Piazza Drive.
Yeah, which was crazy during that walk-off that I had in that 10th inning walk-off. They were
Do
doing.
you dream about this at night? Is this something that recurs to you? Well, you got the MVP.
This is a
trophy.
prized possession now, my fantasy camp MVP award. But it was that Thursday ceremony out in Port Saint Lucie, and we were the only team that wasn't able to go watch the beginning of it because we were still playing. So I'm in the batter's box. I'm like, I don't want to miss this Mike Piazza ceremony. And that's what really propelled me to get that walk-off hit.
There you go. You got to finish it off. I'll tell you what, if you missed the beginning of it with the politicians speaking, you
my
missed
God.
the show.
I did. I got there just in time for that.
That was hilarious.
That was something. Hopefully they don't go on and on Saturday before the ribbon cutting, because I think the politicians will be there as well. But yeah, jumping around here, but that ceremony, Piazza has such a way with words where when he gets choked up, I almost get choked up for him. When he was up in Cooperstown watching him live and, get emotional, it's hard to hear a man, it wasn't bawling, but a man get choked up and not also get a little
when he's talking about his father.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this just reminds me, because I should have done this in the jump, but really should have done this earlier, just talking about getting choked up. A special, memory or reminder of, how fragile things can be and how quickly life, or not quickly because Luke lived a very long life, but Luke Asparri passed away about a week ago, and he was with the Mets for a better part of, every decade since the 60s, and such a friendly guy, such a friendly face. I loved seeing him around, a Purple Heart recipient from the Battle of the Bulge, which he was 20 years old in the battle. It's insane, the stuff that these guys went through back in the day, and he unfortunately passed away. So our thoughts go out to his family, his friends, the Mets family, everyone else involved, and I think I'm hoping that the Mets do something special. I'm sure they will towards the season, whether, have his family out or honorary first pitch or something special. I'm sure they will, and he'll be missed for sure. So not to end on a somber note here, but thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the show, we do this once a week. If you're listening afterwards on one of the podcast channels, rate, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and don't forget to comment right now if you want this bobblehead on Instagram. We'll see you next week. Pete, anything else?
I'll tell you what, I had a migraine at the start of the show, and Coors Light somehow knocked it out. So thank you to the people at Coors Light for that.
Coors Light, Dugout Mugs, FOCO, thank you for everything, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.